friends, it's Nancy, and I'm here to do a flip through of this journal that took me months and months and months to finish. She's a big girl, 10 by 7.5, and I'll let you take a good look at this spine. So how I did this fabric spine was to cover it in antique lace, and then I added these pearl buttons that are all carved. So mother of pearl, not pearl, but you know what I mean. So the old-fashioned shell buttons. And I love how it turned out. The cover is made by hand stitching using an English paper piecing method. These hexagons cut from old linens, doilies and tablecloths and dresser scarves, those kinds of things. And I stitched them all together and did a little sort of a quilting line around the each individual hexie, and this is how it came out. I feel like I have this upside down though. I do have it upside down. Okay. So let's get started. Inside I have 7 signatures. I'm trying to do math quickly in my head. So it's going to be nearly 200 pages, I think, if my math is correct. It's a hidden hollow back spine. Inside cover, I have used a quilt block that I bought recently at an antique. No, I got it at a flea market in Maine. And I hope you can see this. It says Thelma Richards, 1922. So this was a big quilt block. I've trimmed off the edges to keep the size correct for this inside page. But it is dated and signed, so you know it's at least 100 years old. Added this little linen with crochet trim, vintage button, sewed that down to make a little pocket. And inside the pocket is this slow stitch tag that I created using, the base is a sugar sack. Also I got at, I don't think it was the same, it wasn't at the flea market, it was at a antique mall. Okay, so for pages, I used a variety of vintage pattern booklets that had handwork sort of projects. There's lots of lace and textiles and ribbons and exciting things inside. And let's just get started. Okay. So this first page was a catalog, I believe, so that you could order the patterns. So this had little embroidery images. This is an old envelope from the 1940s. And I've added this little tuck spot here I created by embossing the button card, and then I sewed on 6 mother of pearl buttons there, shell buttons. And for a great big journal card, I took this image of a quilt and glued it onto some paper, and it just tucks right under there. This came from an old pattern booklet from the 1940s, I believe. I had knitting and this is smocking, lots of different projects in that old book. This is coffee dyed paper. This came from a book about teaching yourself embroidery. That's mid-century. This is some like a linen weave paper. This is a page from a needlework magazine. And I've just folded up the bottom to make pockets, and I took this image of a quilt, backed it with paper, and stuck them in the pockets. Here I've added this big tag that I made. I was inspired by Kate from Pixie K Designs. And it has some sewing themes on it. So there's some vintage seam binding, some snippets of lace. Here's a little miniature charm of scissors. The fabrics have some sewing themes. And I added a couple of vintage buttons and some embroidery stitches. And inside I have this image. It looks like someone is doing some piecing fabrics together for a quilt. This is from a magazine. Here's how to crochet some gloves. This is an old envelope. On this page, I've added this ruffle of fabric. This is some crocheted lace. This is a page from a stitchery book. Oh, this is an old envelope for a pattern, a mail order pattern. I just added this big thick washi tape. This is 49 in Market, I think. This is an old advertisement for fabrics. It says individually created for beautiful embroidery by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen. This is from an encyclopedia page. I can see chatelaine through here, so it was a chatelaine magazine pattern. Coffee dyed paper, embroidery book. This is from a crochet book. Here I made this little tag and put some vintage safety pins on it, add a little bit of seam binding, and just tucked under this image of a quilt that I backed with paper. Embroidery book. Here's the other side of that chatelaine envelope, and I've got another big journal card created from an image of a quilt with paper on the back. This is an altered window envelope, and there's a card, a journaling card there. You can see this little lady doing some embroidery there. Another ruffle. Some more crocheted lace from a stitchery book, coffee dyed. This is a pattern for tatting. This came from an old needlework magazine. This embroidery alphabet pattern, well, not an alphabet, but 8 letters. This came from an 1870s magazine. This was the frontispiece of a book called Cinderella Jane. I've put her in there as a tip out because she's doing some mending. And here's a little fussy cut of a needle book. Somebody had done some math on that frontispiece. Here is another altered window envelope, and I've got a couple of tags in here. So this one is a Rolodex that I tea dyed and added these scissor fussy cuts of scissors. This one is an envelope that held needles once upon a time. There's a little fussy cut of a sewing basket. And here I have this lady. She's hanging up her hexie quilt on the line. There's paper on the back. That is avocado dyed paper. More fabric ruffle. Aren't these little girls cute? Lace. This is a pattern from Chatelaine, the magazine, for an Angora collar and cuff set. This is also from Vintage Magazine. I just folded up the bottom and added this tag, an image of quilt blocks. I just put on some avocado paper, added a little motif at the top, copy dyed paper. This is an envelope for quilting designs that I got recently on vacation. I opened it up and here's a little envelope, sorry, tuck spot there. So this is a piece of Crazy Quilting, and this is another image of a quilt that I glued onto paper. That embroidery pattern there came from an 1870s Peterson magazine. There's some more magazine from, I think it was McCall's. Anyway, another journal card that I made with a quilt. Here's the bottom of that pattern to make the cuffs and collar. More ruffle. More lace. This flips out. That's from a needle art book. And this is a button card that I altered by adding fabric and lace. I like the little hedgehog down here. This little postcard I made several months ago now. If I remember, I'll link it below. And again, this was inspired by Kate from Pixie K Designs. This is a pattern that would have been used to make is it Hawaiian quilting, where you would fold the fabric, cut it like we used to cut snowflakes, and then needle applique it down. So I've got that on paper and tucked that in there. This envelope was from 1948. Here is a pocket that I made from a cutter quilt, and inside I've got this package of seam binding. It says dress seams, lampshades, needlecraft. Looks very 20s, 30s with that image there. I don't see a price anywhere, but it's looking pretty old. And this came from World War II. So this was a pattern to knit socks for the soldiers. It's in French. I just added this piece from a picture of a quilt, just to decorate that a little. Some more ruffled fabric, lace. This is a cross-stitch pattern. Here, I just made these the other day, the faux fashion fabric swatch things. This is an image from a crazy quilt. Isn't that pretty with the butterflies? Isn't she pretty? Prudence. Ruffled fabric, lace. This is one of those crocheted dolls. We all remember those, don't we? She's hideous. But there's the pattern. There's some cross-stitched letters. This is the title page from that embroidery book. Here is a little lace sample card that I made. This is stamped. The pocket on this page is very shallow, but it's deep enough to hold that. And on this side, I've got another sample card. This has several fabrics, trims, and I stamped that. And just tuck that in there. I thought the colors went nicely together. Here's another this is a coffee dyed tag. I just stitched on some fabric and added a crocheted rosebud. Well, it's not a bud, it's a full-blown rose, isn't it? There's the bridesmaid. More ruffle. And on the back, this is from the dust jacket on that embroidery book. And I just made a little tuck spot here using an image from a quilt. And it says, friendship is a long sweet prayer made up of kind acts that reach heavenward. And has a little quilt applique there. This one is Stella G. Dakin. SHS. I'm wondering if this is high school. And it says 1921 to 22. And another linen doily. It's seen better days, but still loved. So I hope you thought this was a fun journal to look at. I'm happy it's done. And now I can pass it on to somebody who would enjoy having this as part of their collection. Go over and take a look at my Etsy shop, see if it's something that you'd like to welcome home, and come back again soon. We will be doing much more crafting. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.